Do your eyes start to strain in VR? Don't you get sick? And is VR actually still comfortable after 3 or 4 hours of racing? I've been sim racing for years and have only done this in VR. And these are probably the 3 most biggest concerns and questions I get on VR usage while sim racing. Nausea, fatigue, and discomfort. And in this video, I'll explain these 3 points, how to solve them, and maybe if you get nausea or discomfort or sick, in the end also try to explain how to get started in VR without a big financial investment. Let's get into it. Why do you get sick and others don't? First, people are simply not equal. You know, some people get sick, some people don't. And if you get car sick or seasick, then the assumption would be you would get VR sick. And that could be true, it's possible, but it's also not a guarantee. I had people on my rig that get car sick, seasick, but they don't get sick in VR. I have people that don't get car sick or seasick and get sick in VR. So it's a gamble, really. So what makes you sick in the first place? And you probably heard this before, but it's like your eyes and your inner vision says we are moving on track, we're driving, we're accelerating, we're decelerating, we're taking corners, we're taking bumps, whatever. But your physical body is stationary. So there's a disconnect. And when you're new to VR, there is not really a pathway between the physical body and the brain. So it's like a new experience. And the nausea is kind of an interesting one. There is an evolutionary theory for why sensory conflict might make us nausea instead of simply making us feel confused. Millions of years ago, there were obviously no VR headsets or racing simulators. And one hypothesis is that abnormal sensory information could indicate that something you've eaten is affecting your nervous system. So your brain gets information that doesn't make sense to your body, and the ancient response may be, we ate something that would be poisonous, we need to throw up, we need to get rid of this poison. But there is no poison, it's just VR usage, and your primitive body just cannot handle that. Some people do, but some people don't. So how do you solve the nausea then? And how to get over it? I recently got a comment on the YouTube channel, which was kind of interesting. Let me show you the comment. You can actually train and overcome the nausea. I had strong motion sickness for like 2 to 4 minutes of playing rally sims and 5 minutes of any other driving sims in VR when I started. So I just continued playing until it's quite uncomfortable every day. And after 2-3 weeks, I could play for hours with no discomfort or nausea. Now I can play the hardest rally stages with 0 motion sickness. Kinda cool, right? Another thing I think is super important is the lock to horizon function. It means your vision will be locked to the horizon. So if your car jumps a curb or makes movements, your head is kind of stationary and you can keep focusing on track. Some people don't agree with me on this part, but for me, if I connect my headset to the car, I do get massive nausea. Also, driving backwards still feels really strange, and getting hit by others is an absolute horrible experience in VR. So especially when you're starting out, don't go into the multiplayer lobbies the first day, because collisions, mate, they're horrible in VR. It's actually pretty real as well. A real collision is horrible too. Another thing with nausea is that you go slowly. So slow car classes or slow movement, driving out of the pit slowly. So if people are on my rig for the first time and they have maybe the nausea or they say, I don't feel good, a good idea for anyone who's starting VR, go super slowly in the beginning, like go out of the pits, drive mega slow, and then that environment can start to like become more natural to you over time. And most important is that you not keep forcing yourself through it. And that will also something that we'll explain later, that there's like this VR muscle is different than training like a physical muscle. So if you're interested in picking up a Pimax headset, check the link in the description, because I created a Pimax buyer guide which saves you hours and hours of watching reviews and tutorials about these headsets. I created spider charts which shows which headsets have more field of view, which have better picture, comfort, contrast, and the overall experience with these headsets, with like a 6-page PDF. Link in the description. And if you're interested in picking up a Dream Air or a Super headset from Pimax and you're using one of my codes, I'm forever in your debt, sir. So what if you don't get the nausea? Or you got used to it and now you can actually drive at the limit or close to it? Now there's another problem, fatigue. You can race for maybe 10 or 20 minutes, but then afterward you feel completely empty. And this is very real. It's a strange thing when you're fatigued in VR. It's so much sensory information, in the beginning, your brain just cannot handle it. And this is something I really suffered from in the beginning. I would do a sprint race of 10 or 20 minutes, and that was it for the day. I was like, I don't know, like mentally drained. And it's a very strange of fatigue and mental drainage. It's really hard to pin it down, actually. But after doing it and being obsessed with it and loving the VR world, I just got used to it, and now I can do like 4 hours non-stop, no problems. I do get a lot of discomfort, but that I will talk about later. VR gives your brain a lot more to deal with. To understand VR fatigue, I think we need to understand what happens when you go from screens to VR. When you start VR racing after coming from screens, the visual information you receive is completely different. You suddenly have actual stereoscopic 3D vision, depth, scale, head movement. Car physically appearing next to you, corners have an actual depth, entire visual world is surrounding you, and all of that information has to be processed. I recently noticed that my close-up vision, like how I look close by, is actually getting a little bit worse. Because of age, because of maybe the VR headsets, I don't know. I don't need glasses, but focusing on things extremely close has become a little bit more difficult. So instead of immediately looking at glasses, I started searching online about vision, exercises, and diet. And I stumbled upon something interesting. Your eyes are actually a part of your nervous system. And it got me thinking about my own experience in VR, because vision isn't just your eyes. It's a collection. Your eyes collect information, and your brain has to process it, interpret that information. And a lot about that information is turning information off you don't need. Like you're in your real vision. You can focus on pinpoint like this microphone, and everything around it is becoming irrelevant. But once you were in VR the first time, your brain thinks all of it is relevant. So if you need to process all of that, then that's too much. So you need to get used to using your eyes the same way in VR as you would use your own eyes in the real world. Now this is all basically something I came up with, but after watching that video about vision and stuff and nervous system and brain and how it processes information and your body reacts accordingly, I'll put a link in that description. It's a really interesting video. So how do you solve that fatigue? Well, it is pretty basic. It's exposing yourself to it gradually. It's kind of the boring answer all the time, but it's like it's gonna really help when you love the VR for the first time. Important distinction with training a muscle, for instance. You train that muscle till it's like super painful and you cannot go on, and you wait for a couple of days. Training nervous system, eye vision, all that stuff, it works a little bit differently. It's more about short bursts of 5 minutes. Like you can do like maybe 6 exercises in VR for 5 minutes, then or instead doing it for 30 minutes non-stop. Obviously you will progress into 30 minutes non-stop, but it's better in the beginning to do very short bursts of exercises. That's actually better exercise than trying to stretch it out for a longer time. And that's also in that video that I watched, like this like a holistic doctor who's explaining this stuff. I trust him. As for my own experience, I just started doing sprint races on Low Fuel Motorsport with HCC. Then at some point I started doing some longer races. I basically got more and more used to it, and like a couple of months ago I started doing these 4 hours events with Le Mans Ultimate. And you can check the live streams on this channel. I can do these races really good, and yeah, I really get into the flow in these races, and there's not really something that's fatiguing me. I do get fatigued because of like the concentration of racing for an endurance, kind of the challenge, isn't it? So yeah, do I get uncomfortable sim racing in VR for hours? And the answer is yes. But do you get uncomfortable from driving in a real car for 4 hours? Yes. Do you get uncomfortable from pretty much everything you do for 4 hours? I think the answer is also yes. Even when I'm chilling on my sofa watching a long movie, I get discomfort. After several hours, my lower back starts to hurt a little bit. I get cramps in my hamstring because of the throttle modulation. Also, the braking on my knee feels kind of strange after 3.5 hours. But I'm not having discomfort from the headset. I mean, these one with the studio foam on the Pimax Dream Air and this lightweight and at how it sits on my face, I can't really give something negative about the comfort, the heat, how it sits on my face. That's not really the issue. The issue is more like physical and the body and the hands also, but not like that thing on my head. It's pretty good. Fun story though, a couple of days ago on my holiday, there was like this VR headset. There was like a museum kind of a thing, and they were big screen beyond once on the wall, and you could look at some whatever environment. And I suddenly realized how immensely hot these headsets were. Like I put them on my face and was like putting a heater on my head. Like wildly insane. Now, I don't want to talk down to that brand or anything, but these headsets and the Crystal Supers and the Crystal Light, they don't have that problem. They're warm on the front end, but where the eyes area actually is, it's really like normal, cool, or like body heat temperatures. So there's no discomfort from heat. The bigger Super headsets, yes, you could argue they're heavy, and some people have said they have like pain in their neck using it for a long time. With the Dream Air, this is like the Slam version. I mean, most of these complaints are gone. One thing you really need to start doing, and then I think it's also important in VR, or I think it's also important on screens, keep blinking. It's not a bad idea on the straight to keep blinking or close your eyes for multiple times, because there's like this moisture on the eyelids or whatever that you like on screens when looking at this fucking life-sucking blue light all the time. It's really like it's really promoting you to keep your eyes open because you're focused, you know, and when you're focused and stressed, you keep your eyes open at all time to be aware. And it's good to keep like blinking your eyes multiple times when you're wearing headsets to like moisturize your eyelids and all that stuff. So it's really important that you keep doing that. I'm actually exercising this a lot while I'm racing, but you cannot see it because I have the headset on, obviously. So what if you're concerned and you don't want to spend $2.5 grand on a Pimax Dream Air, which makes sense. And I would highly recommend not starting out with a headset like this. I would start with a Quest 2 or a Quest 3 in the beginning. Even a Quest 2, I don't know, I can pick one up for like $75 somewhere here, and I can start see if I can get used to VR for a very small investment, basically. So you start using a headset like that, secondhand, and you can start to enjoy maybe VR, maybe you don't like it, maybe you do get the nausea, you cannot get over it, or you cannot keep going for multiple hours, maybe if you tried, but then it's like a small investment. But if you then actually really like VR, you like that Quest, you like the VR world, you're throwing away the screens, then going from a very basic headset to one of these premium headsets, you will also be in for a massive treat visually wise if your system can support it. Now, if you want to know more about VR, the beginning, tracking, headsets, all that stuff, then I highly recommend this video, because that video will explain the VR. It's the ultimate VR beginner guide. Come on, click it. It's a good video. 40,000 people have watched that video, so you can watch it too. See you there.